This is Drew Kennedy, and you're listening to Real Life, Real Music.
And this is Josh Grider, and you're also listening to Real Life, Real Music.
Real Life, Real Music Radio with your host, Kyle Hutton.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm doing really good. I've been looking forward to this show. Man, well, Josh, it's been a while since we've sat down. I think we were trying to remember. I think we've done this once, either here at Do-Si-Do or over at the now down and defunct Music Cafe, which, boy, that was such a great venue. And I did the
first band show at the Music Cafe.
Did you?
The very first one.
Well,
I did enjoy playing over there.
It wasn't it great, and you know we'll just say that the owners of that strip center have gotten exactly what they deserve. Because there ain't one tenant that has leased the new place or the Do-Si-Do Music Cafe. Really? It's because the ghost of Josh Grider and his band are still there from the very first band performance. No, so you and I have had the opportunity to do this do this a few times together up at Steamboat Music Fest, and so you kind of know what tonight's about, the stories behind the song. So why don't you kick us off? Pick a song and tell us a story.
Well, thanks for having me. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is one of my favorite places to play music. When I first started playing here, I played on that side of the barn. There was a little stage over there, and the very first night I came in here, I had a booking agent at the time that was short-lived. I've been through a few booking agents at this point, but they'd sold Steve on my act being worth maybe a little bit more than we were actually worth, and as far as the guarantee went. So we came and we played to a handful, and I do mean a handful of spirited, but you know, just not a big crowd. And we got done with the night, but we were treated so well. We were fed. We loved being here. And Steve said, Here's what I owe you. And I said, no. That's not what we're going to do. I would like to be invited back. And I don't know that I would be if I took this full amount. And so we came to what we thought was fair on both parties. And that started a lifelong relationship with Steve and Joan and the Do-Si-Do. So it's always just good to be in here and play. And so I'll play the title cut off my brand new record. It's called Good People, because all the folks around here are pretty good people as far as I can tell.
There you go.
You'd swear we were living in the wild, wild west if you spend enough time in front of your TV set. Then a stranger will change a tire on the side of the road in a pouring rain. And there's a neighbor you can always call for a favor anytime, night or day. 'Cause there's still good people in the world. Still good people in the world. I know a few, how many you do too. Even if they don't make the evening news, there's still good people, a lot of good people, still good people in this old world. Hey, we're all just swimming in one big melting pot. Things are bound to get stirred up and get a little hot. But by and large, most folks get by making money, making love, just trying to survive. A few bad apples don't mean you gotta give up on the whole dang tree. 'Cause there's still good people in the world. Still good people in the world. I know a few, how many you do too. Even if they don't make the evening news, there's still good people, a lot of good people, still good people in this old world. It's those lifesavers and game changers that can give you a hug or fix your carburetor. Helping hands when you need them most. Big old hearts just keeping us afloat. They send up prayers, clothe and feed us. Mother Teresa's and sweet Jesus. Yeah, there's still good people in the world. Still good people in the world. Angels are flying in the right direction. Hearts filled with the best intentions. Still good people, a lot of good people. Still good people in this old world. This old world. I still believe in this old world. 'Cause there's still good people, a lot of good people, and there's still good people in this old world. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Josh Grider from the record Good People, and when I say record, I mean record, because you can actually get a vinyl copy of this record. If you're listening online or watching online, you can go to joshgrider.com and figure out where to pick that up. Or if you're at Do-Si-Do tonight, you can come down to the merch table afterwards, and I bet he'll even sign it for you.
I'd be happy to. That's my 9th release. And that doesn't even count what I did in college. So I've been making records for a while, and I always tell my dad, I'm making a record. And he said, no, you're not. You're making a CD. Finally, this far in. Dad, I made a record.
That's right.
And yeah, it's a record.
That's really cool. And how many of you have seen the video for Good People? Have you seen that? Yeah. That's a cool video. So, man, you had quite a few individuals in that video.
Yeah, we had a lot of individuals. I knew some of them. Some of them were very, very close to me. My whole family appeared at one point or another in there, even my dog and my neighbor. And then we had an open casting that a bunch of some good people that, I mean, we're about to get to him. One of the best people I know sitting next to me, but through a connection that Drew introduced me to Andrew Barrera at 360 Productions there in Austin, and they shot that video and helped me get it made. They've done some great work with Drew, and he passed their contact along, and they knocked it out of the park. It's a pretty good video. I'm pretty proud of it. I showed him everything I'd done up to that point, and I told him my budget, and he goes, oh yeah, we're going to make something far better than anything you've done up to now. And they did a great job.
That's awesome. Okay, so was the priest in the beginning your priest?
No.
Okay, all right, just checking.
That was an actor.
All right.
I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, that was my priest.
He had a holy look about him. I don't know. Yeah. That's awesome. Drew Kennedy, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I don't think that I've ever had the pleasure to have this conversation with you here in the big barn. You know, you came out and did our festival 1 year out at Bernhardt Winery, but man, this was long overdue. I'm glad we're getting to do this.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it too.
Well, I'm not going to try to lead you anywhere, because whether y'all like it or not, I've got my notes and did my homework, and I'll move into that section of the show next. But why don't you just pick one you want to start off with and tell us a story and sing us a song?
Well, here's one that Josh and I wrote together. Long ago, I played a show in Houston to kick off a tour heading out west. I live in New Braunfels. And if any of you are familiar with your geography, starting a tour heading out west by driving to Houston is not exactly the direction you need to be heading. But it was a good opportunity, and so the next morning I had to get into my car and drive to Austin to do like an afternoon, midday radio interview, and then heading on to points farther west. And when I got into my car, I hit shuffle on my iPod. It was the iPod days. And the first song to come up was a Guy Clark song, and I considered that to be a good omen. And I went and did the radio interview, and I was driving on west. There's a little town out west named Monahans, Texas, where Guy Clark was born and lived until he was 13 or 14, and then his family moved to Rockport. But as soon as I got to the city limit of Monahans, I looked over and saw that sign, and right when my eyes connected with that sign, my iPod shuffled into another Guy Clark song. And I like it when the universe lets you know that it's paying attention. It keeps you on the straight and narrow that way. So I kept that in my back pocket for a long time, and then Josh and I were sitting on a front porch in St. Angelo once after playing a show out there and killing some time before we had to go to Fort Worth, and we started writing this. The sky is as white as the smile of a waitress in a late night roadside cafe outside of Pecos, Texas, where the West is all that's left for a restless soul. Neon shining motel sign inviting me inside to rest my bones. And I can feel the wind blowing against my skin. How long has it been? I don't know. Since I felt alive behind the wheel. I don't have the time to close my eyes and sleep till morning. I've got Austin in my review and I'm bound for California. I heard cold dog soup this afternoon in Houston, and I'll be damned if I wasn't humming Dublin blues at sunrise just outside of Monahan. It's the sound of a violin as the stars start to settle in. How long has it been? I don't know. Since I felt alive behind the wheel. And I can feel the wind blowing against my skin. How long has it been? I don't know. Since I felt alive behind the wheel. Since I felt alive behind the wheel. Since I felt alive behind the wheel on the open road. Hey.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so obviously, and most of us already know this, that you guys, you perform a lot together, but interactions like we saw in that song right there with Josh playing guitar and singing background vocals, this is not your first rodeo on a lot of these tunes together.
That is true. You know, in the lean years when 2008 rolled
they
around, well, no, for everybody. I don't mean for us. I mean for everybody. Collectively, when 2008 rolled around, we combined forces to play a lot of sparsely attended shows all across the country, and that's really where you dust everything off. And that's how you develop lifelong friendships. That's what you do.
I mean, yeah, we met. I always tell people we met 10 years ago. And it's been like way more than that now, but I like to just keep it at 10 years ago. Because if I really do the math, it was longer ago than that. We actually met in New Braunfels years ago through a friend of ours named Peter Dawson, who I heard might be here tonight. I don't know if Peter made it or not, but if he did, there he is. I got Peter Dawson to thank for knowing Drew Kennedy.
Wow, how you doing, man?
But we
good to see you.
Yeah, we've been running around, and Drew's always. He's one of the smartest guys I know, and one of his early smartest investments was not hiring a band and buying a Prius. So there was always room in the shotgun seat because he was always going somewhere alone, and we were able to team up, and we've done a lot of shows over the years. So I feel like this is the first one that counts. Like there's cameras and it's being recorded. I'm nervous. I'm used to the gun and knife joints we're used to doing where it doesn't quite matter.
Yeah, do you guys take down the chicken wire just for this show, for the benefit of the cameras, or what?
I had to convince them to not put it up,
that's
but
nice.
We're good.
That's why I feel weird.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so Josh, that will take us to one of the songs that I wanted to ask you about. You know, I mentioned that we have the opportunity to go off-site every once in a while. One of the places that we've gone for about the last 8 years is Steamboat Music Fest. And we have the opportunity to capture a lot of audio content and video content while we're there, which is really cool because usually it's in some, awesome suite that's overlooking the mountains or down in one of the venues. And one of the really cool moments, Josh, that we had, it was one of our first years there at Steamboat, was you and Kelly sang a song called "The Price of a Dream," and that song, that video on our YouTube page, I don't know how it's got 60, 70,000 views, and people just love that song. So I'm wondering if you could do that song and if Drew could be Kelly.
Yes and no.
No, tell us about that one. I think the thing about the thing about that song that I think resonates with people is that usually anything that we're doing that's worth doing ends up taking a lot more out of us than we anticipated. I mean, our best laid plans, our best laid business plans, our biggest dreams, boy, I've yet to see one that came easy. Yeah. And I think that song captures it really well, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons it resonates with people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for mentioning that. I didn't know that was so well viewed on the YouTubes. Pretty big deal. My price just went up. I wrote that song. This was, kind of that post-2008. A lot of people were having a hard time, and we had moved to Nashville. I'd moved Christy, and we just had one son at the time, and we had enough money to live for 3 months if absolutely nothing happened. And absolutely nothing happened. I was taking meetings and just trying to, get a publishing deal and figure out Nashville, figure out something different, because that was just always kind of something that I was interested in. It's the home of country music, and country music's what I love. And so there's just, speaking of good people, some just really wonderful people that Drew and I know in Mississippi. The McGuffies, they have a demolition company, and they work all over the state of Mississippi, North Mississippi, Eastern Tennessee, and all that. And they knew what I was doing. They were friends. They were fans, and they gave me a chance to work because nothing had happened, and we needed some money. So I would drive to Memphis and meet up with them, and then we'd go, and I'd drive a bulldozer, a dump truck, whatever, and they'd let me work for 5 days a week or whatever. Then I'd go back to Nashville and then just hustle, write, take meetings, do the whole Nashville thing. And so I wrote this song, just driving back and forth. And as always, the struggle is, they say write what you know, but when all you've ever done is music, sometimes you don't want to write, they call it writing inside. You don't want to write just about, it's so hard being a songwriter. That doesn't translate too well. But at the time that I was doing this, I had a cousin who was working a week away from home. He'd come home for 2 days and then be gone a week. And I had friends working in the oil field that would be gone for 2-3 weeks, let alone soldiers or whatever, these long deployments. But it was, times were tough, and if you had a job, you just needed to work, and you'd have your job, but it wasn't maybe the most ideal conditions. So I knew some dads that were close to me that were traveling away from their families. So anyway, the driving to Memphis part was me driving from Nashville to Memphis and doing that. But the overall sentiment of the song was something that I saw a lot of my buddies kind of going through at that point. So the song's called "The Price of the Dream," and it's like this. Mister, I need a car, what you got? I need something that runs good and don't cost a lot. 'Cause I got a job working out of town, and $1,000 that I can put down. There's just no work here anymore, since they shut the factory doors. They bailed out Detroit, forgot about me, so I had to take this work up in Tennessee. Yeah, the price of the dream is getting high, so I go to Memphis on Sunday night. I leave my children, I leave my wife. Yeah, gotta go to Memphis on Sunday night. Yeah, gotta go to Memphis on Sunday night. We still got our house, but we're barely hanging on. So this job is a good thing, I just hate that I gotta be gone. 'Cause babies need their daddy, mama needs her man, and I'll get back every chance I can. Oh, the price of the dream is getting high, so I go to Memphis on Sunday night. I leave my children, I leave my wife. I gotta go to Memphis on Sunday night. Yeah, I gotta go to Memphis on Sunday night. And the politicians all promise change, but everything just stays the same. I trade 2 days at home for 5 to 10 away. And I'm gonna miss Halloween. Looks like I'll miss Thanksgiving, but they'll have costumes and pumpkin pie. 'Cause Daddy goes to Memphis on Sunday night. You do what you gotta do to survive. Yeah, me, I go to Memphis on Sunday night. 'Cause there's work up in Memphis, I leave Sunday night. So, mister, I need a car. What you got? Thank you.
Yeah, that's and to me, that's when a song's great, is when it can grab somebody's own story and just pull maybe one little hint of despair that they've felt, you know what I mean, that resonates within those chords and those lyrics, man. That's a great song. I love that. So go check out that video. You can go to our Real Life Real Music YouTube and just look up Josh Grider, Price of a Dream, and
then go download the song.
Yeah, and go download it for sure. It's funny though. You have a hat on in that video, but it's a beanie.
Well,
it's a ski. Your ski.
My winter hat.
You
man.
like skied right in with the hat still on, played the song, and then
hey, man,
that was all she wrote.
Songwriter budgets don't always allow for steamboat vacations, so if you can get up the steamboat, you gotta hit that champagne powder when it's there.
That's exactly right. Well, Drew, I want to ask you about a song that I first came into contact with through a guy by the name of Trace Womack, and you know Trace, and he's been a big fan of yours for a long time, and I've known Trace way past the Chubby Knuckle Choir days and way back, and
Yeah.
he's a good dude. He introduced me to your album that you released back in 2011, Freshwater in the Salton Sea. And was that your second record, third record? No, fourth record,
probably
maybe.
fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fourth record. But really, it's the first record. It's the first record where I kind of figured a lot of stuff out all at once. I figured out how to use my voice. I'm a pretty loud guy. I figured out that there's a difference between playing in a roadhouse and singing into a microphone in the studio.
Yeah.
You don't have to overpower anybody in the studio, you know. So it's really the first record where I kind of just started putting a couple of things together, and it sounds like me.
Yeah. Well, it's a great record. Would you tell us about Vapor Trails and maybe play that one for us?
I'm so glad you asked a song that I can remember off of that record. I was heading, again, this is the San Angelo hour. I was heading to San Angelo to play a show at Blaine's Pub. Blaine Martin was a one-of-a-kind individual. He was adopted and then sent back and ran away from a youth home at 16 and never went back after that. And so he would tell people, when people would inquire about his family, he used to tell people that he was raised by wolves. And he was larger than life, true old school West Texas concert promoter and bar owner. And I went out there once on the recommendation of a friend of mine. He said, look, I got you a show. You can go out there to San Angelo, and you got to go early and meet this guy, but be careful because he really likes to drink. And he wants people to drink with him. And so I stopped. I was thinking about that. Halfway out there, I stopped and ate 2 cheeseburgers out of self-defense on the way, you know. And I got there, and he's this huge guy. Hey, all right, play me a song. You know, it's him sitting at a bar, like a bar top, and I played him a song. He said, that's pretty good. Play me another song. And I played him another song, and he says, look, I hear you've been having trouble booking shows, so there's my calendar right behind the bar. Bring it over here and pick out a couple dates. And so I thought that was incredible, and I picked out like one Thursday in 2 months, and then another month later I picked out another Thursday and handed it back to him, and he goes, I thought you were having trouble getting shows. And I was like, well, yeah, but I mean, I don't want to take advantage of a nice offer. And he goes, give me this calendar. And 3 weeks a month for the next 6 months, he wrote my name down Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And he said, on Thursday, the gig is yours. On Friday and Saturday, you open for whoever's playing here. I'll pay you $300 a night and get you a hotel room every time that you're here. Wow. And that pretty much was a single-handed move that kept me in, that didn't chase me out right off the bat.
Wow.
And so I got to know Blaine really well. I got to develop a lot of relationships in San Angelo, and after that time had passed, I'd go back maybe once a month and play. And on one of those trips out, I had a flat tire in between Menard and Eden on my way out there. And I was changing the tire. I was on the ground, and I was looking under my van, and as I was changing it, and I could see just above the oak trees. You know, you get farther west and the hills start to level out and the trees get a little shorter. And it was like October, and I could just see, you know, the sky above the oak trees, and I could see all these vapor trails showing up in the sky. Because for whatever reason, you know, in fall, the contrails seem to pop out more often out there. And I, just to keep my mind occupied as I was changing this tire, I thought, man, if I lived out here in the middle of nowhere and I just wanted to travel, I bet that would drive me nuts every night, seeing all the signs of people moving right over top of my head and I'm stuck here. And my brain does this on a regular basis. I thought, well, that could be a song. And the brain took over and said, but you should make it sadder. And so I thought, well, what's sadder than that? Oh, well, what if you're sitting here waiting every night for somebody to come back to you and you can't figure out why? Why would somebody not come back to you? Well, maybe they're lost. But how could they be lost? Every night these lines show up in the sky. Just follow one. They go right over the house. Where are you? Where have you know? And so I started to write this song on my way out after I got the tire changed, and then finished it after the show in the worst motel room I've ever stayed in my entire life. Shag carpet, if you need to know. Shag carpet is really awesome when it is in your house, but when it is covering the floor of a $39 a night motel in San Angelo, it is decidedly less awesome. But I got this. I'm 10 miles west of nowhere, with nowhere left to go. Flat on my back as airplanes track their way out to the coast. And I don't know why they paint up the sky with their vapor trails. Maybe if all else fails, they can follow them home. And if they can, why can't you? Take a look up at the sky. You can choose from 100 lines. That's what I would do if I could not find my way back home to you. I believe in angels, but I don't believe in ghosts. 'Cause I'd rather fly if I'm gonna die than haunt this house alone. And if I were up there on a wing in a prayer and I could see some other wings, I'd let them leave me back home. And if I could, why can't you take a look up at the sky? You can choose from 100 lines. That's what I would do if I could not find my way back home to you. Back home to you. And if I could, why can't you Take a look up at the sky. You can choose from 100 lines. That's what I would do if I could not find my way back home to you. 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 Thanks, everybody.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so audience, I need you guys to help us out for just a minute here, okay? Because we have to. Did he kill it?
No, he didn't.
Okay, he
But
left
I
you.
might.
He left you a little bit. Please
Yeah,
go
he left me a
ahead.
little.
Go ahead. Okay, so I need the audience to help us out here for a minute because we kick off every radio episode with a liner. So you guys got to figure out how you want to do this. This is Josh Grider. This is Drew Kennedy. This is Josh Kennedy and Drew Grider. However you guys want to do it. And you're listening to real life, real music.
Okay.
All right? So y'all can do the synchronized swimming thing if you want or whatever and try to do it in unison or whatever. But y'all figure it out. And then as soon as they say, this is Josh Grider and this is Drew Kennedy and we're listening to real life, or you're listening to real life, real music, I need you guys to go nuts. All right? Can y'all do that? All right.
We should do it like this.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
You ready?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I already had an idea.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Drew Kennedy, and you're listening to Real Life, Real Music.
And this is Josh Grider, and you're also listening to Real Life, Real Music.
That was almost awesome.
Thank you. Do you know how many times at the grocery store in New Braunfels people come up to me and are like, "Hey, Josh," and once a week, and I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's my favorite time when it happens and I'm wearing a Josh Grider T-shirt. When I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Because I hope they're like, "Dude, we saw Josh Grider at HEB. He was wearing his own T-shirt."
Egomaniac.
That is awesome.
I tell you what, the HEB on 46 in New Braunfels.
That's the spot.
It's if you want to go, because there's a lot of musicians that live in New Braunfels, and we all kind of live pretty close to each other.
Yeah, produce section.
Around Tuesday afternoon,
Yeah.
you'll just find people. You'll just be picking up cereal, and Wade Bowen will push his grocery cart past you.
Yeah.
Hey man, they got a special on steaks. You should go check it out. What? Oh yeah, I'll be right over there. How's the kids? Good. All right. Well, we'll see you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, Josh, I want to go way back. Your first record was put out in 2004, the Josh Grider Band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. That is a fact.
Cool. So, are there any songs off of that record that you still play on a regular basis?
What are you laughing at?
Turkey, I'm glad he asked you instead of me. I hope he didn't ask me that question.
See, he asked me all these first. Now you have this whole song to rack your brain on old lyrics. Let's see. From that record, yeah, I still will play one, two. One is the cover that was on that record, which is the Dennis Lindy song, and those are always good. Which was Where Have All the Average People Gone? And then the other song I wrote, which kind of ties in with the Blaine Martin story, is it's a song about going to Mexico, because if you're a country singer, you got to have a Mexico song. It's called South of the Border. I grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is about 40 miles from El Paso, which of course is just across the border from Juarez. And yeah, you could take a trip down there if you could sneak away. So yeah, I still play that song because that was really the first song that I ever wrote and played that anybody that I heard somebody sing back or just seemed to care. Like we get a request, like you should play that song again. That's not just some terrible song about your stupid feelings. It resonated in some way. So
well, you should play that song again right now.
It has the hardest guitar lick ever, but I'll try and play it.
You can do it. They don't call them the Rose of Las Cruces for nothing, everybody.
It is worth saying, though, one of the most memorable trips I've ever had to Mexico. I mean, there were some trips in the formative years that aren't as memorable, really. But Blaine took us to Mexico. When Drew was in this residency at Blaine's, 300 miles from his actual house, he called me one day and he said, "You want to go play Blaine's with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "Well, Blaine wants to take us to lunch in Mexico, so let's go early. We got to get up early." Like, oh, yeah, all right, I'm in. So we got up crack of dawn, still dark, drove to San Angelo, and Blaine, early riser. I don't know if Blaine ever slept, but he had this like probably 86 Lincoln Town car with bullhorns on the front, white, a boss hog, but not quite a boss hog kind of rig, Let's go, boys. We're going to lunch. So we went down to Del Rio and to Acuna. We drove this thing across the border. We drove down there, and Blaine, I rode in the back and Drew rode up front, and Blaine spent half of the trip. If you've seen Dumb and Dumber, when Jim Carrey's driving the limousine and he looks back, it says, the majority, it's more dangerous to drive in a car, but he would just drive like this. And he was smoking a left-handed cigarette the whole way down. And it's sitting in the ashtray, and we're 50 yards from the border guards. And there's this roach in the ashtray. And Drew goes, Blaine, he goes, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about that." Just throws it out the window. And into Mexico we drove. And we didn't know if we were going to make it back. We got into Mexico, and tell it where Blaine was on the...
So Blaine had
the dry kick.
Yeah, Blaine was court ordered to not drink alcohol anymore, or he would lose his drinking establishment entirely. And he had been sober for like 5 or 6 months, and it was great. Like for a guy like him, it was a major milestone. And we get to Crosby's, and he orders the grand fajita meal and 3 margaritas, and they bring out 3 margaritas, and we all raise the glass and toast and have a drink. And I go, "Blaine, you're sober." And he goes, "Man, that's in America."
And we ate and we drank and we got done and we part ways. Blaine goes, "Y'all go get lost for an hour. Meet back here." And so Drew and I wandered around Acuna. Had you ever been to Mexico at that point?
No.
Yeah, so we're just walking around, and Drew buys something for Holly, and we meet back up, and we've driven over. But this isn't before we have a great photo shoot. Among all the things that Blaine was, he's a great photographer. And actually, if you come to the merch booth, I can show you a photograph.
He brought a disposable camera. Remember those? And since this was our first trip to Mexico, he's like, "You boys stand on this corner." And he take a picture. "All right, now get on the hood of the car. Back to back. Yeah, that's great." And he snapped a pic. And they were all like, and the whole time we're like, "This is the dumbest thing in the world. Why is he making us do that?" Smile. And then a couple months later, I showed up at Blaine's, and he gave me the doubles. And I'm flipping through, and I'm like, "Blaine, these are so stupid." And he goes, "I know, I can't believe you guys did that."
Yeah. And so we have our photo shoot, and we get back in this car, and it's time to drive back across. And I would never drive over to Mexico growing up. We would just park and walk across the bridge. But so we have this 86 white Lincoln Town car with bullhorns on the front, 3 Wetos headed back across the border. And we're, again, right before the border crossing, goes, "Did y'all buy anything?" And Drew's like, "Oh, I bought this necklace for Holly." He goes, "Shove it down your pants."
I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to go to jail."
And we roll up, and "You got anything?" No. And I mean, we rolled up, and the border guard just laughed. She just was like, "Pull over there." And they ran the dogs in the mirrors, and we didn't have anything. We got pulled over like 3 times on the way back. Never in trouble. Like we made it back. We were 2 hours late for the gig that Blaine booked us for, and
we walked in, and the whole bar was packed. And the three of us walk in, and they all broke into applause. Hey,
You made it back.
they knew where we'd been. Anyway, that's why you have to have a song about going to Mexico if you're a country singer. This is mine. It's called South of the Border. If this song was a person, it could vote. And that's pretty weird for me. Nope. It's the hardest riff ever. I'm going to try it one more time, and then I'll just start without the
Edited
riff.
for rebroadcast.
Well, yeah, I don't care if you broadcast. This is difficult. I've never had a lead guitar player that could actually do this. The guy that wrote it, I know this is too much talking probably, but
It's great.
I was such a big Robert Earl Keen fan. He's just one of my major influences early on. That live dinner number 2, and he's got that little girl, think it over one time. The riff from that, I played this for the guitar player in my band. I was like, something kind of like that. So he wrote this riff real slow, and he's like, kind of like this. I'm like, yeah, but the song's like this fast. And he's like, oh God. And he never played it right, and few people have. I've just screwed it up twice, so I'm gonna try one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's as close as you're gonna get. That's as close as you're gonna get. All right, South of the Border. Here we go. I watched the Rio Grande roll on by ever since I was just a little bitty child. I heard about easy living down in old Juarez, and Mama said I was too young to be that wild. So Friday night I'd sneak out of my back door, and I'd meet up with them boys down on Main. We'd run like bandits, heading for the border, praying to God that we'd make it home by the break of day. And we'd head south of the border to drink and dance and have a time. When I cross the river, I'm gonna leave my blues behind. South of the border, heading down to Juarez, Mexico, drinking margaritas and dancing with senoritas, loving it like you'll never let it go. That tricky riff goes again right here. I've been gone, God, it feels like so long, out on the highway just trying to figure my way out. I get so tired of running all the time, I wanna head south where they know what life's about. So take me south of the border to drink and dance and have a time. When I cross the river, I wanna leave my blues behind. South of the border, heading down to Juarez, Mexico, drinking margaritas and taking straight shots of tequila, yeah, loving it like you'll never let it go. Boys, if you go that way, then be sure you take host way, 'cause to make the federales let you come back home. Thank you. That's what 19-year-old Josh Grider sounds like trying to be Robert Earl Keen, trying to imitate Robert Earl Keen.
Oh man, are y'all having a good time so far tonight? Yeah, everybody good? Okay. So
we already told all the good stories.
It's all downhill from here, folks. No, Drew, one of my favorite records of yours is Wide Listener, and you've got a bunch of great records. But that collection of songs I love, and I wanted to ask you about a song called 24 Hours in New York City.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that one and play that one?
Yes. So I also grew up in a border state. So Pennsylvania. Our border was on the top part of our state, and the dancers had state-sponsored health care up there. So it was a much less debaucherous adventure if we went in that direction.
Yeah. Safer.
That's as close as I could get to make that safe for radio, I think. I spent the first 13 years of my life just outside of Philadelphia. Then we moved to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. When you live in that part of the world, you have a ton of really great field trip opportunities, for historical purposes. And from Gettysburg, Washington, D.C. was an hour and 20 minutes away, and Baltimore was 45 minutes away, and Philadelphia was 2 hours away, and New York City was like 3 hours away. And so you took a lot of cool trips with your class or your youth group or whatever. And I bet by the time that I turned 16, I had been to New York City 10 or 11 times. And right before I turned 16, I mowed enough lawns in my neighborhood to save up the money to buy a 1987 Chevrolet Celebrity with a fake blue convertible top and a luggage rack on the trunk. And the first thing I did to that car was I took out the stock AM/FM radio and I put in a tape deck so I could run the tape deck adapter to my Sony Discman and drive around town. I knew I'd be driving around town jamming to all my Dave Matthews Band CDs. Except I did a really bad job wiring that thing. No, keep going. I did a really bad job wiring that thing. And about once a day when I'd be driving it around, the cassette deck that I installed would blow a fuse and all the music would stop. That's working it out. And I got really good at this move. I didn't try to rewire it. I didn't know what I was doing in the first place. I got really good at this move. So that fuse was the same fuse that controlled the tape deck, the horn, the turn signals, and the windshield wipers. And so if the Dave Matthews would stop playing, I would check the horn. Because remember, sometimes you'd hit a bump and it would skip for 15 or 20 seconds till it found where it was and it would start playing again. And if the horn didn't work, I knew I blew a fuse. And I got really good at this because it happened so often. I'd be driving down the road and the Dave would stop and I'd check the horn. The horn wouldn't work, so I'd reach under the steering column and I'd find the fuse box just to the left under there, and I'd go all the way to the left of the fuse box and I'd count down 3 fuses. And I'd pull that fuse out and I'd throw it on the floorboard of the passenger side, and then I'd reach into the bag that I kept on the passenger seat of fuses, and I'd be driving and I'd reach over and count down 3, plug it in, honk the horn twice, and then restart my Dave Matthews song. That's exactly right. And so that totally awesome piece of machinery was parked outside of a friend of mine's house, and his parents were out of town and they were having a party. It was the summertime, and this girl had just moved to Gettysburg from like Omaha or Lincoln or something like that, some faraway place in Nebraska. And she was talking to me at a party in the basement. She was way too pretty to be talking to a nerd like me. But she said, all I've ever wanted to do was see Manhattan at night. And I've been in New York City like 11 times. And I said, well, I know New York City like the back of my hand. I'll take you. And she said, really? And I said, yes. And she said, well, hold on, let me go call my parents. And I thought, uh-oh. And she went up to call her parents, and she came back down the steps, and she said, okay, let's go. And I went, well, let me call my parents. And so I'm thinking, and I'm walking up the steps, and I said, my mom answered. I said, Mom? She said, are you okay? I said, yeah. Me and the guys are going to go fishing really early in the morning tomorrow. So I'm just going to crash here, and then we'll go fishing, and I'll see you like tomorrow night. Is that okay? And Mom was like, yeah, just be careful and have fun. I said, okay, great. I hung up the phone, and I went, and I walked down the stairs, and I said, all right, let's go. Because here's the thing. When you're like the squarest nerd of all of the square nerds in a 500 square mile radius, and you do everything by the book. You save up enough goodwill points with your parents to cash them all in on one grand move of rebellion. And that's what I did. If I was at the poker table, I pushed them all in. And my parents were like, yeah, we fold, that's cool, you got it. And so we hopped into my 1987 Celebrity and started heading towards New York City. And I knew enough, at least, to know that I wasn't gonna drive into Manhattan. So I got to a train station and I stopped because I recognized the name of the line. We parked, we got on the line, it took us under the river and stopped at Grand Central Station where we're supposed to get out, and you go up 2 flights of steps and you're in this big room, and that's Grand Central Station. You push through these 2 huge double doors, and there we were in Manhattan at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I realized, other than hormones, what gave me the confidence to tell this girl that I knew New York City like the back of my hand and that I would take her. And it was chaperones. Because on every trip I had ever made to New York City, if something weird started happening, I'd be like, yo, adult person in charge, adult this weird stuff away from me. And they'd be like, yeah, no, and they'd keep the kids separated from the weirdness. Well, there were no chaperones, and it was us. And so we made it, we survived. I promise you, wherever she is, she did not perish on that trip. I got one kiss from her in front of the Empire State Building, and we went home. And a couple weeks later, the school year started, and she realized that she had been hanging out with a serious nerd. And she didn't need to really spend much of her time climbing the social ladder hanging with me anymore. But we got 24 hours in New York City together. And so, many, many years later, upon imparting that story to our friend Sean McConnell, we decided we should try and write something about it because he had similar experiences growing up as a kid in Boston. We wrote this song. And I guess the memory that inspires this song is older than the people that were making it at the time. I was a tenor in the high school choir, and she was kind of a homecoming queen. But I had a car and she had a credit card for gasoline. She got wasted at a basement party and started talking about all of her dreams. I flapped my arms like a chicken and I got her to laugh at me. Now she's sleeping in the passenger seat, skyline rising in front of me. 24 hours in New York City, grab that apple right off of the tree, pull into Grand Central Station and be who we wanna be. Fresh off the boat from a landlocked ocean, lit a smoke in the land of the free, held it up in the air like a Statue of Liberty. We got 24 hours in New York City. Saxophone in a subway station, couple bucks in a Yankees cap, cheap cologne and ammonia dance their way down the tracks. Up the stairs into a concrete jungle, taxi cabs like a pride of lions. Country times are wasting, let's go swinging on those power line vines. 24 hours in New York City, grab that apple right off of the tree, pull into Grand Central Station and be who we wanna be. Fresh off a boat from a landlocked ocean, lit a smoke in the land of the free, held it up in the air like the Statue of Liberty. We've got 24 hours in New York City. She said, I feel like I'm awake and dreaming, and I kissed her under the Empire State. We both know which one it is and which one it ain't. 24 hours in New York City. It's just 24 hours in New York City. We're just 24 hours in New York City. Yeah, but we got 24 hours in New York City, New York City.
What a great song and great story. I didn't realize you'd written that one with Sean.
Yeah.
That's great, man. The Yankees strike again.
We're everywhere.
That's awesome. Okay, I told you at the beginning of the show that there were a few people here that really help real life, real music be on the map. The first is Steve and his wife Joan, at the owners of Do-Si-Do, that are here with us. And I showed up here one day, had seen the barn going up, and just looking at it from the outside, you're like, if there's not music going on in there, there should be music going on in there.
You were raised right. You saw a barn raising and you immediately.
I saw a barn raising.
Raise
showed up. Thank goodness they were already done when I got here. So that was good. But man, I had the opportunity to meet Steve, who obviously any of you guys that have spent any time here know how important music is to him and just what he's accomplished here. And so we had a conversation, and Real Life, Real Music found a home. And it was in March of 2007 that we did the very first show. And my friend and co-writer from college, Roger Krager, came in and helped us kick it off, and it was sold out. The very first Real Life, Real Music was sold out, and man, it's just been an amazing journey ever since then. And so, man, Steve and Joan, thanks for your vision of putting this thing together and making a place for music. And my friends from the Texas Rockstar Group, we've had a variety of different corporate sponsors over the years, but the guys that are with us tonight, they've been sponsors with us for a couple of years. And, one of the things that I think is really cool is, there's things we have to purchase as individuals, and a home or a place to live being one of those. And there's fees associated with that you just, there's certain things you have to do because people got to be licensed to do things and those sort of things. And so, man, it is such a privilege to introduce people to businesses in the community that love the same things that they love. And when you have a choice about who you do business with, look for the people that support the things you love in your community. And we appreciate the Texas Rockstar Group. And not only are they sponsors of our show, but our Real Life, Real Music offices are in a facility and on some property just off 1488 and 2978 that they found for us and helped us purchase. And I don't know what you might or might not know about real estate around this area, but man, it's hard to find property at reasonable prices around here anymore, from here almost all the way to College Station. And these guys found something that was perfect for us that wasn't even on the market. And so if you're looking for somebody that knows this area, you want to know the value of your house or whatever, stop by and talk to these guys. They know what they're doing, and they put their money back into the community where they make their money. So Texas Rockstar Group, y'all wave over there just so they'll know who to come talk to. Thank y'all for helping us make tonight possible. Okay, so Josh, back to you. I want to ask you about a song that I love on the record, Good People. And yes, Dad, it is a record. It's an actual record. And it is it's the very first cut on the record called Bad Times Roll.
Yeah.
And I love that song for two reasons. It's a great song, isn't it? I love this song for two reasons. Number one, just because, man, sometimes just by acknowledging that life's not easy, you give other people permission to have some hope, because they're not the only one whose life is not easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's one thing. Second thing, if you can find a creative way to use the word Bellagio in a song, then you've kind of won me over as a songwriter. So tell us about that one and then play it for us.
And that song came from, just we had a great conversation. We were having a great conversation before we came down here, and talking about, you can find these nuggets of cool and good things when you put yourself in, different and new situations. But there's also something to be said for just working, staying, persevering, and just showing up, just being there, and knowing. If you don't really feel like writing a song, what I've learned as far as songwriting is concerned, you may not feel terribly inspired, but pick up your guitar. And if you're in, kind of the game like Drew and I are, and you have a co-write booked and you don't feel like, you go and you show up, because you don't know when somebody will say that one thing. Steve described it as you get tapped on the shoulder. And with writing, you don't know when inspiration's just going to go, remember that thing you were thinking about? Here's the whole idea, Yeah. So I was sitting with two fantastic songwriters in their own right, and we were having a conversation, and titles were getting kicked around. And this was a title that James Slater had, and he said, "Man, this title is the bad times roll, like a twist on good times roll. What do we got there?" And we just all three sat there collectively and started kicking it around. And Bobby Hamrick, the producer on my record. He's just a phenomenal guitar player, arranger, producer, everything. And he started this little groove, and it just fell out in a few hours. We kind of had it, and what's fun is when you challenge, you get in these rooms with some of these guys that have had some pretty big songs commercially. They've had big hit songs recorded, and you learn from all of them. And I learned a lot in writing this song because James would keep digging. That Bellagio line was his. It was like, we had a chorus. He's like, this chorus should be different. Let's keep going. What else,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we had this character, and if you listen to the song, there's this movement from east to west, and if you just picture this guy getting over this girl, and he's headed west, and he ends up in California, Yeah. But the things he's getting over, there's just sort of this geographical movement of the song. It just fell out in a really, really cool way. And we cut a demo that day of it, and actually had a little bit of interest from, a big famous country singer that was George Strait. And I was super excited, and we thought maybe he was going to cut it. He didn't. That's fine. He still could. Yeah. Who knows? But he didn't, so I did. And I was. I'm glad you dig this song. I'm glad you asked for it. It's got a lot of chords in it. It was fun. It was fun to learn how to play. It's just I don't know. To me, anything, the song is a testament to just showing up, because you don't know what'll happen if you do. And I love its message of perseverance. Just every day in Christmas, I used to work with a guy in a lumber yard, and that was kind of his line. He spoke about as much English as I did Spanish, but we could communicate a little bit, and It was hot. every day ain't Christmas. I guess you're right. Let's work in the lumberyard today. And, that was kind of that's what we were going for. So I'll just play the song. It's called Let the Bad Times Roll. Sometimes the good times find you, come knocking on your front door. And the days of milk and honey are sweeter than you've ever asked for. But some days there's rocks in your shoes and a hole in the roof above your head. Can't win for losing, all you can do is get yourself out of bed and let the bad times roll. Let the bad times roll. Roll like the rain on the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. Just let the bad times roll. Just let them all go. Go like the wind blowing tumbleweeds from Odessa to El Paso. Just let the bad times roll off your shoulders. I know you can roll on, brother, and don't look back. I've seen nights so dark and long, I never thought I'd make it through. But the dark is always gonna bring the dawn. So what I've learned to do is let the bad times roll. Let the bad times roll. Roll like a midnight paradise on the floor of the Bellagio. Just let the bad times roll. You just let them all go. Sing them like a summer sun setting over that California coast. And let the bad times roll off your shoulders. I know you can roll on, sister, and don't look back. Yeah, roll 'em up, baby, let 'em go. Send 'em up in a cloud of smoke. Roll 'em up, yeah, let 'em go. And they'll be gone before you know. Let the bad times roll. Let the bad times roll. Roll like the rain on the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. Just let the bad times roll. You just let them all go. Go like the wind blowing tumbleweeds from Odessa to El Paso. Just let the bad times roll off your shoulders. I know you can roll on, brother, and don't look back. Thank you.
Very nice. All right, so one of the things, Drew, that I don't know. I want to use the right adjective.
All right.
Here.
He'll correct you.
I don't know if it would be. I like the eclectic nature of your album titles.
Thank you.
Eclectic.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The word I'm going to use. Eclectic's better than quirky, right? Eclectic.
Yeah.
I like eclectic.
Yeah.
But if you have the whole collection of Drew Kennedy records, let me read you some of the titles. At Home in the Big Lonesome. That's good. Sad Songs Happily Played. That's one of my favorites. An Audio Guide to Cross Country Travel. That's another good one. But I want to ask you about Sad Songs Happily Played, because you mentioned, one of your first thoughts when you're writing is how do I make a sad song more sad?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell us about Things Change.
Man. I wrote that song with Travis Meadows. I probably played it for 2 weeks after we wrote it. Travis Meadows is a brilliant songwriter. And I wrote it about, I wrote the idea with Travis about coal mining towns where I grew up and oil boom towns here.
Yeah.
How society needs to function as society functions when these natural reserves are discovered. And so churches are built, schools are built, post offices show up, general stores are built, people move in, they build houses, they build roads in and out of these towns. But then when they pull all of the coal out of the vein that they've been mining, or they pull all of the oil and plays out where, they've dug the well, everybody moves on. They go do something else, or they find another boomtown or whatever. But you've got generations of people who grew up in these places, and you can go back to them and see the infrastructure of what was a thriving community of people. People fell in love and got married and died and had children and went to church and learned things at school and made a living and lost money. And I mean, life happened in these places. And then when all of the natural reserves have been exhausted, life starts happening somewhere else. But you still have these vestibules of what life was that you can drive through these ghost towns and see, sometimes it looks like you could move in and clean up a couple of these spots and it'd be ready to go in 2 days. And sometimes it looks like you couldn't believe anybody could have ever lived here, but life happened, and that's what the song was about. That was my entire thought process. And thank God I have somebody like Travis on hand to say, okay, well, we can probably cut 98% of those words out and make it a song. And he's pretty great at doing that. So, yeah.
We're not going to use vestibule.
We're not going to use vestibule.
Not going to use vestibule. Okay, so do you want to give that one a stab, or do you want to pick another one off of Sad Songs Happily Played? And by the way, it looks like somebody's sending a drink up for you, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks. I don't even know if that can help, Kevin.
Thank you, sir. We'll see. Yeah, I like a straw in mine.
You know what? Look, let's do this. Check this out. I could probably pull this up on Spotify and hear what the first couple chords are and make this happen. Has this ever happened in the 240-something shows you've ever done?
Let me reference my own song on Spotify. No, that's never happened.
Here's what happens. And see, this is the theme of this group. The theme of this group is just keep on keeping on. And a lesser artist, and I won't name any of them, they would just say, no, I don't play that song anymore. So see, you get all kinds of kudos
I don't play
for just
that song
stepping
anymore.
up.
Mostly because it said I don't have the cellular data at the moment to stream it. But I've written a bunch of songs with Travis. I could play a song that Travis and I wrote together. Man, I really wanted to do that because I like that song. Now I'm going to have to go home and learn it, and I'll play it at my next show, and it won't be taped for radio broadcast.
You know what we're going to have to listen to the whole way home now, Kyle? Thanks for nothing.
We just hear a little more me.
I like that. So Travis put out a record in October called First Cigarette, and it's really a great record. And I was lucky enough to have written 2 songs with him on the record. And this, since I've already used up enough of your listening time, this is a song about 2 high school lovers cruising the strip in Jackson, Mississippi. And the guy, played by Travis Meadows, is praying that the DJ will play this Bruce Springsteen song called Jungleland because it's his girlfriend, played by Travis's girlfriend, It's his girlfriend's favorite song. And he knows that if he can get her ears wrapped around that song, it's going to be a good night for him. 18 felt like love. Me and Debbie couldn't get enough. Something in us was opening up for the first time. I kissed those lips that taste like smoke. At every light on Terry Road, yes meant yes and no meant no, but she never said no. And I smelled like Daddy's Old Spice, and she looked just like paradise. When you're living on the edge of your seat and you're waiting on something, anything to happen. Her in those tight jeans, wearing out the Dairy Queen, waiting on Springsteen, stereo blasting. Too much magic to understand. It's on Friday night, the world's on fire, desire burning up your hands, so you pray for Jungleland. Summer came and summer went, a summer like that'll leave a dent, and you can't buy back your innocence. And if you could, you probably wouldn't take it, 'cause you learn from the way you've been. And some songs take you there again. When you're living on the edge of your seat and you're waiting on something, anything to happen. Her in those tight jeans, wearing out the Dairy Queen, waiting on Springsteen, stereo blasting. Too much magic to understand. It's on Friday night, the world's on fire, desire burning up your head, so you pray for Jungleland. Hey, you pray for Jungleland. When you're living on the edge of your seats and you're waiting on something, anything to happen. Her in those tight jeans, wearing out the Dairy Queen, waiting on Springsteen, stereo blasting. Too much magic to understand. When you're young, you do what you can when you can, so you pray for Jungleland. Hey, you pray for Jungleland. Hey, you pray for Jungleland.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't say this in the story, so this might not make sense. But I said I only played that song for 2 weeks, and Kyle said it's on a record of mine. Sad Songs Happily Played was an accidental live record. I played a show in League City in an old post office, and it was a great show. And after the show, the sound engineer said, "Man, I can't wait to hear how that sounds on tape." And I said, "You taped a show?" And he goes, "I was supposed to ask for your permission to do that." And I was like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. Just give me a copy of it." And the next day I was driving to a gig in Dallas, and I just figured I'd listen to it just to see how it sounded. And the more I listened to it, I was like, man, this is like this is a show.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about making a live record. I was telling stories and playing songs for people. And I should put this out. Like, this is the show. It went well. You know, it's like a no pressure, made by accident live record. And it just happened to be in like those couple of weeks when we had just written that song and I was playing it. And I put it out as a record.
There you have it. There you have it. Yeah. And it's going to be right over here at the merch table in just a few minutes because I saw copies of it. And have y'all had a good time tonight, everybody? Okay, here's what's going to happen, and I want to ask you guys to help us out with this. We've got Josh Grider and Drew Kennedy T-shirts, CDs, records. We've got both Good People and At Home in the Big Lonesome albums over there. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Thank you for spending your hard-earned dollars to come here and eat dinner and buy a ticket and listen to this. If you have any left in your wallet, stop by the merch table. Pick up a CD, pick up a T-shirt. Let's make these guys drive back to New Braunfels a little bit lighter in the suitcases than when they showed up, okay? And if you already have all their stuff, buy it for somebody that you know would enjoy it. But come by and see them. Y'all hang around and sign some stuff. And
yeah, of course.
All that good stuff. Okay.
Maybe.
So, maybe. Josh is such a diva. Just drink your wine and get out your Sharpie, okay? That's what we need you to do.
Story of my life, Kyle.
Kyle, I know this is your show, and I'm sure you have it all mapped out and planned out, but why is your guitar over there?
You know, I always, sit here and wonder if I'm going to plug one in or not. And so...
And then you hire two guys that won't shut up talking. And man, they'd shut up.
And then I monitor the time, and somewhere around the Blaine to Mexico story, I knew... No, I'm just kidding. Okay, can I play you?
Yeah, that's what I'm play a song.
Thank you.
So talk about the third song off your second record that you put out in
What's the oldest song you have
1997?
that you might know?
Could you tell us the story behind that and play it for us? Thank you.
I want to play one. I want to play one that I'm thinking about today, because at about 3:00 this morning, I took my oldest son, who is 20. He's halfway through a year that he's spending in Haiti, and he got to come home for 2 weeks. And he is working at this orphanage that we went to visit about 3.5 years ago, because my wife and I thought it would be a great idea if he could see and his brothers could see that their problems here were not as big as they made them out to be. Now, that was a great plan, except that our oldest son decided that he wanted to stay over there. And so he kind of figured out his plan and has been over there. And I'm extremely proud that he's choosing to serve other people in the way that he's serving other people, because I think that's a lost art. And I'm both proud and sad at the same time. And the first that very first trip when we went over there, the crazy thing was that we're over in Haiti, and the guy that runs the orphanage used to be a flight instructor before he hung that up to go over there and help out these kids. And we're sitting in the front room of the guest house of this place in Haiti. And he goes, "So I hear you're a songwriter. Do you know like any of the Texas country kind of stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, yeah." And he goes, "Do you know Roger Krager?" And I go, anytime anybody asks me that, it's a mixed question. And I'm like, "Well, why?" And he goes, "Because I'm a flight instructor, and I taught him how to fly. So I'm sitting in a guest house in Haiti with a guy that taught Roger Krager the first, co-write I ever had in college. Taught him how to fly a plane. But the funny thing was, he said to me, he goes, "Don't ever get in an airplane with Roger." I thought that was kind of funny. But his name is Jake, and so I reference him in this song. And so I'll sing this one for Brooks, who's probably made his way back to Go Naive's Haiti by way of Port-au-Prince today. So. Jake's got his tattoos and Jake's got his scars. Spends his time outside Maya behind iron bars. On 37 lives that were left in the dust. Now they got decent clothes and they're covered with love. Yeah, it quiets down once you get outside Port-au-Prince. You know they got the worst when the earthquake hit. And they argue the count, and they always will. But there's 200,000 in one grave and a cross on a hill. There's 200,000 in one grave and a cross on a hill. Yeah, they got plantains and mangoes and red beans and rice. A song in their hearts and a smile in spite of conditions that I've never lived in this life. If I seem a bit distant this time of the day, I'm just thinking about Levinson and the games that we played. In frustrated Creole, he tried to make me understand. But then he'd finally give up and grab a hold of my hand. Yeah, he'd finally give up and grab a hold of my hand. Yeah, they got plantains and mangoes and red beans and rice. A song in their hearts and a smile in spite of conditions that I've never seen in this life. Yeah, Jake's got his tattoos and Jake's got his scars. Spends his time outside Maya behind iron bars. On 37 lives that were left in the dust. We got 5 more coming tonight on the Orphanage truck. We got 5 more coming tonight on the Orphanage truck. There's 5 more coming tonight on the Orphanage truck. Thank you. Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, we're going to do one more round, guys. So I'm going to let y'all just pick. I'm not going to lead the horse anywhere. Y'all get to pick. Josh, you go, and then Drew's going to close us out. I know. Picking the last one.
That was a real song. It's about real stuff, man. Thank you for playing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What should we do? How should we close this out? Drew Kennedy?
Play that song that doesn't suck.
Wow. Should we close it just together like how we always do it? Yeah. Or with the friend of the devil? Sure. Like that. Don't mind us. Yeah. That'd be a good way to do it. Sure. It should be the other way around. Let me play Award myself and you do Friend of the Day.
Okay, good call.
All right, we got the game plan, everybody.
Kyle left it to us, so that's
Okay.
what happened.
Hand in the circle on 3, go team, right? I'm going first. I traded up for the pick.
Sport ball.
Here's a song Josh and I wrote in Corsicana. Which a friend of mine married a girl from Corsicana, and she always called it Corsicania. Sounded far more poetic. Just a little twist to the word, and it gets a little more poetic. I was talking to a guy from Switzerland last week at my show with Jamie Lynn Wilson in San Antonio, and he said that his brother has a terrible drinking problem, that he thinks he's probably an alcoholist. And I was like, that sounds so much more nice than calling someone an alcoholic.
He's an alcoholic.
Yeah, like, well, he sounds accomplished. He's an alcoholist. It's pretty great. Anyway, I get mad in myself. War with myself. I get mad with myself. What can I do? And when you're at war with yourself, war with yourself, war with yourself, you're bound to lose. I was raised a Christian, told her that heaven awaits the humble. So I tried to toe the line and not to stray. Turn the other cheek, pray for my enemies, but my fists are always getting in the way. 'Cause I got mad war in myself, war in myself. I got mad war in myself. What can I do? And when you're at war with yourself, war with yourself, and you're at war with yourself, you're bound to lose.
Well, the doctor, he did tell me that I got eyes just like a bird. 20/20 vision, did he say? But the 20 on the left sees risk, and the 20 on the right reward. But I can't see the sunshine for the rays. So I am at war with myself, war with myself. I'm at war with myself. What can I do when you're at war with yourself? War with yourself. When you're at war with yourself, you're bound to lose.
Now I can pound the pavement with my guitar in a song, just to sing for my supper every night. Or I can get a suit and tie, maybe find a 9 to 5. Tell me how can both be wrong, and how can both be right? I am at war with myself, war with myself. I got mad war with myself. What can I do? And when you're at war with yourself, war
with yourself, and you're at war with yourself without a lose. When you're at war with yourself.
Thank you.
And Drew, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having
this has
me,
been a
Bob.
whole lot of fun.
The pleasure has been all ours,
Man.
I assure you.
It's been great. All right, what are you going to take us home with, Josh?
We're going to play this song because back 10 years ago when Drew and I met,
We met at a Peter Dawson concert.
That's right.
And he's right there.
Drew and Peter had a weekly. Were you guys every week?
Yeah.
At River Road?
Every Tuesday night at River Road Ice House.
And I got invited to come and sit in one time. Anyway, it was time to close the show, and we tried to figure out a song that we all knew. And I knew this song, and Drew knew this song, and so we started closing our shows because that was it's like the tradition. I'd like just to put this in your mind, not to make us any bigger deal than we are, because we're not a big deal. We're just a couple guys that write songs. But I like to think of us in this line of the Texas, songwriting duos. We're the tallest of them, I believe. but otherwise, but for me, it goes back and it starts with Towns and Guy, they had their own careers. They do their own thing. And Drew and I certainly have our own separate careers, but we do get to come together and do shows like this and lots of shows really and have a great time. But it was like Guy and Towns, and then it was like Robert Earl and Lyle Lovett, and then it was, Pat and Corey and Wade and Randy, and the least famous yet tallest of all of that would be me and Drew. So that's how I consider us from time to time. I don't know. I'll just put put that in your pipe.
Just a great duo of guys who missed their calling as a two-man Olympic beach volleyball team is basically what it is. And instead, we started writing songs, and by the grace of the volleyball gods, found each other.
We should totally go try to just see what would happen. We should challenge somebody to some beach volleyball.
I called this song. I put the number 2 behind my back, and Josh saw it, and so now he's playing. Just some inside beach volleyball.
You'll notice our chairs are slightly one in front of the other. Anyway, the song that we figured out that we both knew back then, and then we've just closed pretty much every show we've ever played together, is this song. It's a Grateful Dead song.
I laid out from Reno and I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep last night till the morning came around. Set out running but taking my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home for daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Well, I ran into the devil and he loaned me 20 bills. Spent the night in Utah in a cave up in the hills. Set out running but taking my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home for daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Well, I ran down to the levee, but that devil called me there. Took my $20 bill and it vanished in the air. Set out running but taking my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home for daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Well, first one named Sweet Emery, and she's my heart's delight. The second one is Prison Bait, and the sheriff's on my tail. And if she catches up with me, I'll spend my life in jail. Well, I got a wife in Reno, and I've got one in Cherokee. The first one said that she got my child, but that kid don't look like me. Said I'll run him, but I'll take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get over 4 daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Well, I got 2 reasons why I cry way slow at night. Yeah, the first one, my Anne-Marie, she's my heart's delight. The second one is Prison Baby, and the sheriff's on my tail. And if he catches up with me, I'll spend my life in jail. So I got a wife in Chino, and I got one in Cherokee. First one says she got my time, but it don't look like me. Said I'll run in to take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. If I get home for daylight, I just might get some sleep tonight. Thank y'all for being here and listening. Thank you, Kyle, for having us.
It's my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Grider and Drew Kennedy.